We made it, boys and girls, to Mavericks basketball preseason style. Cooper Flagg makes his debut. What to expect from the number one overall pick and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? The DLLS Mavs pregame show is presented by Michelob Ultra. Cheer on your team with Michelob Ultra at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's a superior smooth taste worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, official beer sponsor of the NBA. It is the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. Once again, man, Kevin Gray alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are ready for some Mavericks basketball. Cooper Flagg making his debut tonight. What to expect from the number one overall pick plus Anthony Davis. Kyrie Irving not playing, but making his presence felt earlier at practice today. A lot to get into, Bobby, as we have finally made it to some preseason basketball for your Dallas Mavericks.
We have been wandering through the wilderness, lost in the desert for about 6 months, but really for like 8 months. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
And really before that for like 10 months. It's been a while.
That's right.
Okay. So I am very, very, very fired up for some basketball. Very fired up to have Michelob Ultra on board. I'm excited to have this L bar is the jargon for it.
That's
this little sidebar with upcoming topics that we're going to use on the pregame show this year. It's a great time. It's just a great time. I got a meat pie and a kibbie ball still for dinner, waiting for me in the fridge upstairs. I just keep winning. We keep winning, KG.
We keep winning. In fact, we were winning. We just got back from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, where the Mavericks are having training camp, of course. Hope you enjoyed our training camp coverage presented by Boost Your Development and Nassar Jewelers of Rockwall. We had a lot of tremendous content exclusive with Cooper Flagg. We talked to Najee Marshall, Dennis Smith Jr., our very own Mark Stein, of course, who will be on our post-game show after tonight's game. We had an exclusive with Jason Kidd. So hopefully you enjoyed our training camp coverage. It's time for some basketball. I see you, Elliot. I see you, Galkajan. I see you, Ronald. I see you all in there. Pomelo, Lone Star, Rob. I see y'all hanging out with us.
Diehard Kleb
in the chat as well. I see all of y'all are ready for some basketball because
we got the DLLS Dirk. It's funny. So Elliot's in the supporters club, and supporters club members get the emojis, right? But in our software, it just is like the title of the emoji.
That's right.
So it's hype. All right, I can tell it's hype, but to me, it's just text. It's just numbers and zeros.
Just keep putting it in there. We'll decipher it as the rest of the show goes on. But let's get into it. You've been waiting. We've been waiting. We've all been waiting for the debut of the number one overall pick. The Duke sensation, Cooper Flagg, gets to put on the Mavericks jersey officially for the first time in preseason for Dallas tonight. The game, of course, in Fort Worth, Texas, as they take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you're going to be watching the game on television, you can watch it on KFAA Channel 29 or on NBA TV. For those wondering where you can watch the game tonight, the Mavericks did announce earlier today their upcoming television schedule throughout the course of the season, so you'll be able to find it on their website, so you know exactly where and when to watch every single Mavericks game this upcoming season. A team that's going to have a lot of nationally televised games. In fact, one next week, which we'll be at in Las Vegas when the Mavericks take on the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll get to that later on during the week. But, Bobby, the anticipation has been there for months now. Once we learned that the Mavericks were getting the number one overall pick, and you saw me running off the screen because of how excited I was that the Mavericks got the number one pick, we knew who it was going to be, and now we get to see number 32 debut tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, you know, whether he plays good or bad, it doesn't really matter. It is all about just getting out the jitters, kind of like what we said before his first summer league game. And he goes out there against the Lakers, and he was just kind of like so. You know, he missed a couple. I think he like airballed a jumper or something. Like it was kind of weird for the first quarter or two.
For him, for sure.
Yeah, but then by the end of the game, it was like, all right, yeah, this guy's legit.
Yeah.
Mavs end up winning, and then he goes out against the Spurs a couple days later and crushes it. I'm sure he's going to feel a little bit of nerves. He's probably going to feel a little excitement. He's probably going to be like, all right, I don't do I assert myself too much? Do I just kind of try and blend in? And then you're thinking and not playing. And so we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll come out and he'll score the game's first 15 points, and it's going to be awesome. Maybe he's going to go 0 for 7, and everyone's going to be second-guessing what's happening. But what I want to see more than anything is just the kind of energy that he plays with and the level of energy that the team plays with, because, you know, they are adopting a new offensive style. They are adopting a new mentality about getting out and running in the open floor. This is a lineup that is full of athletes. It's a very deep team, even with all the inactives, which we'll get to here in a second. They still got a lot of players. And so get up and down the floor. And, you know, Coop can really be the driving force in that, because he can block shots, he can get rebounds, he can handle, he can pass, he can attack the basket. Like, he can be a terror in the open floor. And so I think for him, you know, even if everything else is feeling kind of weird, dude, just get out and run and do something cool.
Yeah, and excite the crowd tonight that'll be out there in Fort Worth. Coming up in our next segment, you'll hear from Cooper Flagg. He spoke with us before tonight's game on his thoughts on tonight, what he expects for himself as he gets ready for his first preseason game. But I'll let you know who's in and who's out tonight. Jason Kidd has already spoken to the media and let us know who is going to be playing in tonight's game and who won't be in tonight's action. We'll start with who is out, of course. Tonight, Brandon Williams, Dante Exum, Dennis Smith Jr., Daniel Gafford, and, of course, Kyrie Irving all are out tonight. So you're wondering, well, who the hell is going to be the point guard?
It's like every point guard they have
going to be tonight. It sounds like D'Angelo Russell is going to be the starting point guard. In fact, let's throw it up, Tanner. I wanted to play a little game last night. We're going to play here together on the show as well. Who is going to be the Mavericks preseason starting lineup tonight? Last night, I was okay. Let's think about it. I went with D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, who is going to play tonight, and Derek Lively the second. That's the starting five I went with. Does that look pretty good to you based off of who we know, who's in and who's out tonight?
Yeah, probably. I mean, there is a chance, though, because I believe this is the Mavs' first ever game in Fort Worth. They might say, you know what, for historical purposes, for posterity's sake, let's start Dwight Powell. Let's get him in there and see what happens. But no, I think that's probably going to be your starting five. And, you know, Jay Kidd has said, all right, so AD is only going to play the first half.
That's right.
I think it was Mike Curtis said that Coop is also only going to play the first half, which makes sense. Klay, maybe the same, maybe PJ, maybe Lively, but like D'Lo, I don't think is one of those guys that's only going to play the first half. And so if it is D'Lo and Ryan Nembhard alternating minutes at the point guard spot, it's not like Nembhard's going to have to play the final 34 minutes of the game. You know, I think that they can both go out there and take turns, which is good. D'Lo needs reps. He's going to be the starting point guard for this team. We think for potentially a very long time, not like many years. I just mean for this season. Like he could be the starter until February, March, or later. So the more reps that he gets with everyone on this team, the better. And then for Ryan Nembhard, you know, this is a real opportunity for him. He's on a two-way contract, but the Mavs don't have a lot of guards. Some of the guards they do have, Dante Exum hasn't even practiced yet. And so once the season starts, you know, he only has a certain number of games that he can suit up. I think it's 50. But if he has a really good camp and if he has a really good preseason and if guys stay out, then maybe he spends more time with the NBA team than with the G League team at the start of the year. And every day he spends with the NBA team is more money in his pocket too with the way that two-way contracts work. So, you know, there's a lot on the line for him. There's a lot on the line for Dennis. It sucks that we can't see him play tonight.
Which I'm a little surprised that he's not playing tonight. I thought he was going to be able to get some action tonight.
Maybe he's nursing something, or it could be, you know, a lot of the times in preseason it'll be like, you know, especially with the fourth string guys, 2 or 3 of them aren't going to play this game, and then those guys will play the next game, and a couple of them won't, or whatever. It's tough to get 20 guys out there. So maybe that could be it. Maybe he's injured. I don't know. But I mean, it's a huge opportunity tonight for Nembhard.
And we saw Jason Kidd during the last day of training camp in Vancouver mention that Ryan Nembhard was running with guys like Derek Lively, Anthony Davis, PJ Washington, and others. So getting some run with some of the projected starters for tonight's game, and we'll see what he does. We know that our very own Bobby Curl is very excited for the idea of Ryan Nembhard to get out on the floor tonight. As we saw him in Summer League, had him on the show, of course, on the DLLS Mavs podcast where we were in Las Vegas. So I imagine you're going to be particularly interested to see what Ryan Nembhard does tonight.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, again, it's a really good opportunity for him. especially if Brandon Williams, I don't know what his situation is, but if
he's got the hamstring injury that he's dealing with.
Is that like a day-to-day or a week-to-week kind of thing?
Kid had said when we were in Vancouver that he would be out for a week, and I believe that was on Wednesday, he had said that Brandon Williams is going to be out.
So
for a week.
In theory, he could play this upcoming weekend.
Potentially.
They have a game Saturday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, if he's back and if D'Lo plays and if Dennis comes back, then that's a really crowded point guard rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Nembhard, tonight's game might be the game he gets the most minutes of any game all preseason. So let's see what you got, man. I mean, he had a really impressive first game of Summer League.
Mm-hmm.
As Summer League wore on, he had a couple stinkers, but Coop was out, and the Mavs Summer League roster wasn't very good, so I'm not going to hold that against him. But out there on a floor full of pros, can he stand out? And especially against a team like OKC with a lot of good guards, depending on which one of those guys play or not, like there's a chance that he could prove something.
And he'll have that opportunity tonight in the Mavericks' first preseason game. Obviously, Anthony Davis going to be on the floor for your Dallas Mavericks tonight. The man in the middle, the number one man on this team. It is his team. Obviously, once Kyrie Irving comes back, he and AD will share the load, of course, on how this Mavericks team gets driven this year. But Anthony Davis has a chance. We know coming into camp, a little bit heavier when he decided to come into camp, but at the same time playing himself into shape. Expected to see him for the first half only tonight, according to JCK Cooper Flagg, the same for their action tonight, which means we will have an opportunity to see Anthony Davis and this new pace and flow, or space and flow offense, if you will. Jay Toronto, of course, the new assistant coach and the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, if you will. We're going to get a chance to look at some of that tonight. What kind of wrinkles do you think we'll see with Anthony Davis kind of being in that Domantas Sabonis type role, and what that could look like given what we believe the starting five is going to be here?
Well, I want to take this opportunity to promote the film thing that we did the other day, where I was pulling up old clips of Kings basketball, but pretty soon we'll just be able to see them do it on the floor. So maybe we'll have some film breakdowns of how they're using AD. But
in his goggles tonight, by the way.
Yeah,
as well.
I expect AD to be on the ball quite a bit. He's not going to play very much, just the first half, and someone said only like 17 minutes or something like that, but that's still a pretty good extended run. What I'm more excited about for him is any sort of AD Coop interplay I think could be really good. Any sort of AD like big pick and roll could be good. Granted, I think that has more juice with Gafford than it would with Lively, but I'm more excited for defense. Coop, AD, Lively is just disgusting. Like that is a nasty front court.
Yeah.
I think that's probably your best defensive front court in basketball. If they can figure it out, and if they can, and I don't expect it to maybe look beautiful even tonight. It might be something that in December or January or February it finally clicks, because it is guys that are going to be doing new things, new player. So we'll see. But I think that trio, and then you mix in PJ, either as AD's sub or as Lively sub or Coop sub, like they got a lot of defensive versatility. All of those guys can step out and switch. All of those guys can protect the paint. All of those guys can play on the weak side, kind of lurking around. I'm really excited to watch them play defense.
Yeah, the athleticism and length on this team is going to be fun to watch all season long. We'll get a little bit of that tonight, obviously, with Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively II, and Anthony Davis, who's a potential defensive player of the year candidate, man in the middle for this Mavericks team. And I think for a lot of us who have been covering this team, watching this team, and talking about them throughout the entirety of the offseason, this team is going to hang their hat on the defensive side of the basketball, and what that looks like from the preseason into the regular season and deeper into the season, I think will be the number one talking point for us, because they believe that offensively things will start to come as they get this new offense implemented. But from jump, defensively, we believe this could be one of the best defenses in the league. And with the amount of talent that they present on that end of the floor, there's not many teams that you get up to watch and say, I want to see what they look like defensively every single night. This is one of the few in the league where you say, I want to see what this team does on that end of the floor, because they can be that dominant. And we know what Anthony Davis has been as one of the best two-way players over the past decade. And now you put Cooper Flagg and an emerging Derek Lively into that. It's a recipe for trouble for opposing offenses, given what they're going to have to see with those guys there.
Yeah, they have Mavs fans, at least in my lifetime. And I mean, I know all about the 80s teams as well, even if I wasn't there to see it. This is really the first time in Mavs history that the team is explicitly and deliberately building its identity around its defense. There have been Mavs teams that have rated very well defensively. The team that won the title is among them. The Mavs of the mid-aughts had some really, really good defenses, but it has always been offense first, especially since the turn of the millennium. This team, not so much. offense is kind of the break from the defense,
Mm-hmm.
and they have said, and I expect this to be deliberate tonight. We'll see if it actually maintains itself all the way through March and April and hopefully beyond, but they're using their defense to set up their offense. They want to get a stop, run in transition, and get a quick early shot, or just give it to their best player, AD, and let guys run off him until someone gets open.
Mm-hmm.
This team is not viewing offense as the thing and then defense as this thing that like we also kind of have to do every now and then.
Yeah.
No, it's the other way around. And that is a completely new idea and new philosophy and new mindset for Mavs fans. And, even if it might be not as beautiful to watch as some of the offenses they've had over the years, I'm still excited at least to see something new and something different.
Sure.
And I do think this team could be really, really good defensively if they click. But with the way that they're going to play, it requires everyone to be bought in every single possession.
A lot of communication.
Everyone want to get out and run. I mean, it is, and that's what preseason is about, right? It's about forming habits. It's about trying and going out of your way to make this thing feel normal until it finally does feel normal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, November, December, January, it's like, yeah, this is just what they do. This is Mavericks basketball. And it might look kind of ugly and clunky at first, but hopefully they get to a point where it's not the case anymore.
Yeah, this team should be a lot of fun, especially in transition, and because they're going to be pushing the idea that whoever gets the ball, you get out and run and push it, and let's see what happens in transition. We're going to get to your super chats coming up here on the other side of the break. I see you, Ya Billy. We'll get to you here in just a second.
Dude, Ya Billy is in their element.
That's right.
During post games and pre games.
That's right.
It is the Yogi Ferrell Salah Mejri show.
That's right. We'll get to that here in just a second. Plus, you're going to hear from Cooper Flagg on his expectations for himself going into tonight's game. All that and more coming up next year. But first, we're going to continue because I forgot we're not doing that thing. We're not doing that thing.
Ain't no breaks.
Ain't no breaks. We're just keeping.
This is commercial-free basketball coverage, baby.
How about that commercial-free pregame show here on DLLS Mavs? Well, let's continue. Yeah, but let's get to the super chat then.
Hopefully the viewers didn't recognize my eyes getting like this big.
They probably did.
What am I supposed to say right now?
They probably did. It's okay. Yeah, Billy with the $5 super chat. Do y'all think the Mavericks are overlooked? I honestly think this might be one of the deepest teams in the league, even without Kyrie. Shout out Yogi.
You know how they'd be deeper? They had Yogi Ferrell.
They had Yogi Ferrell. Exactly.
I think they're very deep. I mean, they're extremely deep. I think having Kyrie in your lineup makes you even deeper because then all of a sudden D'Lo is your second guard or your second point guard or your third guard. And that's a really, really great role for him. But yeah, I mean, the Mavs just have so many forwards. I mean, off the bench, you're bringing Najee and PJ and when healthy, Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively. And all three of those guys, Najee, PJ, and then the big, all three of them are capable of the kind of steady production that would put you in six-man of the year, territory.
Yeah.
Which is just unbelievable. I mean, this is a team that really has like 8 or 9 starting caliber players, if not more, and then they have a lot of versatility and things like that. So they are super duper ultra deep. I think the challenge is, can you overcome, even despite all this depth, the challenge of the season will be, can you overcome perceived lack of shooting and perceived lack of playmaking to complement your perceived strengths, which would be defense and size and length and tenacity and all that stuff. I mean, I think that this team has a very clear-cut identity, but the gap in the West that really divides the teams that are definitely in like the title conversation, teams like OKC, Denver, potentially Houston, potentially the LA teams, potentially Minnesota, those teams, and then teams like the Mavs are. Those teams' weakness are just like less obvious, at least on paper and at least for now.
Sure.
Maybe as the season unfolds, that's not the case.
T.O. with the super chat, the $5 super chat. Shout out to you.
Shout out T.O. by the way.
I saw you donating all those memberships yesterday in the Cowboys, the DLLS Cowboys postgame show. So shout out to you. T.O. with the $5 super chat. Whose fingerprints will be most evident on the offensive system? Frank Vogel or Jay Triano? How much of it will we see tonight?
Jay Triano, baby.
Yeah, the de facto offensive coordinator, I like to call him.
Yeah, I expect a lot of dribble handoffs. I expect a lot of in the examples that we showed on, was that yesterday? Yesterday was Sunday.
That's right. Friday.
Sorry.
Friday. It's preseason for us too. It's preseason for us
All
too.
I think about is
yesterday
was Cowboys, so it was
That's
basically
right.
a work.
You went to chess over the weekend. How
That's right. Come on, man. He was at a whole chess tournament this weekend.
I'm still thinking about the mate in one. All right, I'm not thinking about basketball. I expect a lot of dribble handoffs, and unlike what we saw with Sacramento and those examples I pulled where it was Sabonis and then wings and guards, I expect the Mavs to run a lot of horns.
He's doing it again. Sorry, he's giving out memberships again.
Let's go, T.O. Dude, thank you so much for that.
You gifted 5 DLLS Sports memberships. Shout out to you.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Let's go.
So I expect there to be a lot of horns, which means you're going to have one big on the left elbow and one big on the right elbow. And then from there, they can either go into some high-low stuff where they set a screen for each other to force a switch into a post-up or a seal, or just a dribble handoff to one side, and then you have some action on the weak side of the floor. I think the Mavs are going to run maybe not more set plays than they have in years past, but I think there's going to be a lot more movement of players without the ball than there has been in years past. Typically with Luka and also with Kyrie, all you're trying to do is create a mismatch for one of them to exploit, and then it's everyone clear out and just kind of stand still to force a double team, and then you're wide open, right? With this year's team, at least while Kyrie's out, their best way to get open is to cut off the ball and to create movement. By the offense moving, you're forcing the defense to move, and then you can create little gaps and little cracks that you can slip through or exploit, find either with the pass or just with the dribble drive. So I think that you're going to see, maybe not at full force just because it's still preseason, but I think you're going to see a lot more movement without the ball.
A lot of read and react for this offense. Guys going to be able to make reads and make cuts off of that, and hopefully for them, the chemistry that they'll develop as they continue to play together, you'll see that become more and more clear as the season moves on. But one of the things that they preached during training camp in Vancouver, the conditioning aspect of this team. This team's going to be doing a lot of work on the defensive end, but also on the offensive end, the amount of movement that this team expects to do. There are going to be a lot of guys moving in a lot of different places. We love seeing Klay Thompson go off the ball and be able to make those shots on catch and shoot opportunities. I'm interested to see what he looks like a little bit in this offense too, which should be a lot of fun to get seeing on the floor tonight. In fact, speaking of fun, Cooper Flagg making his debut. Cooper Flagg has a chance to put his imprint and impact on this game. He talks a lot about impacting, winning at a high level, the versatility that he wants to play with. That will be hopefully on full display tonight. Cooper Flagg talked to us prior to today's game as he spoke during his media availability for about 90 seconds and let us know what his expectations are for tonight as he gets ready for his first preseason game. Here's what he had to say.
Now that it's becoming really real, how do you feel about your approach? I know it's preseason, but how do you feel about the approach to finally getting your opportunity in the NBA?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's obviously preseason, like you said, but it's another step in the right direction, getting down the road, getting ready for the season. So, I'm excited to be able to get out there with the guys. We've been practicing, playing hard for a while now out here in the summer. So I'm excited to just get on the court and really play somebody else.
What have they told you about what to look for in tonight's game in terms of how much you may play, how much you may not play in tonight's game?
I haven't had those discussions. It's more about just, when you're out there, whoever's out there on the court, coach just wants us to go out there and compete, keep our pace high. And those are things we want to focus on, is really competing and trying to work on stuff.
You've obviously played in a lot of big atmospheres, a lot of big games. This is not one of those. But are there butterflies with this being your first taste of the NBA?
Yeah, there's always nerves for me, whatever game it is. But, for me, nerves are usually a good thing, getting me pumped up, getting me excited, getting me ready. So, I'm kind of expecting those all the time.
With those nerves, what kind of keeps you present and not getting too much ahead of yourself?
It's just trusting the work and stuff that I've put in, knowing that I've been here all summer, knowing what I've done up to this point in my career and whatnot, and just trusting that I deserve to be here and, all my work will pay off.
You talk about always impacting the game at a high level. What does that look like for you in your first preseason game and what you want to accomplish tonight?
Yeah, just competing, just trying to compete at a high level, playing really hard, playing really physical, playing with good pace, playing, making good decisions and whatnot. So that's really what it is, just competing at a high level and, just trying to make the right plays.
Playing with pace, making good decisions, and competing at a high level. The expectations for Cooper Flagg tonight, which I think are realistic for him based off of what he wants to try to accomplish, but more so than anything, he constantly is talking about what that looks like for him and impacting the game, which he can do in a number of ways. We look to see a lot of that on display tonight.
Yeah, just compete. Like what he's talking about is competing to him is like digging in. Like obviously competing is winning, but
Sure.
like the Mavs, the way the Mavs see competing this year is playing faster and stronger and harder than the opponent. Like, that's it. You're running faster than them. You're jumping higher than them. If there's a ball in the air, you're going to go get it. If there's a ball on the ground, you're going to be the first one to it. Like, for all of the losing, and they did a lot of it down the stretch last year that they did, the one thing that we said that they were consistently doing no matter what is just being a bunch of dogs out there and just bashing their head against a wall over and over again until the opponent finally broke down. Now, they still lost a lot of games because they just got out-talented, because they were playing Kessler Edwards at the 5 for like a month and a half.
That's right.
But that team attitude, like, we saw seeds and we saw signs of it. Like, those seeds were planted last year. And, so the way they see it now, okay, you have this huge injection of talent. AD is healthy. You got Coop on the team. You went out and added D'Lo to hopefully hold it down until Kyrie comes back and all that stuff. So, the excuse of not having enough bodies is gone. You have the talent. If they maintain that, then you can win a lot of games playing that way. And you can really kind of break your opponents' resolve and like break their will. Think of, and I just saw Thunder versus Field come in and say, hey, Thunder are gonna win and everything. And I'm not trying to like talk crap to Thunder fans or whatever, but like, let's go back to last year. Even when the Mavs weren't good, they were still beating the Thunder.
They still own the Thunder, baby.
But I'm not doing that in a trash talk way. I'm saying they were just like, that was the clearest example of their resolve and of their just being like, dude, we are bigger than you. And we're going to do the thing, like big man dunk, like my whole Neanderthal thing. Like, that's what they did. They went into OKC's gym and they were able to win those games by just being bigger than the other team. Now, they lost a lot of games. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to go 82-0. I'm not saying that they're going to beat I'm not saying PJ Oklahoma is going to live forever or whatever, but like, we have seen signs of what they want to do in the past, and it's up to Cooper and AD and Lively now that he's healthy, and Gafford once he gets back. Like, those guys are going to have to be the torchbearers of that cause.
Well, gentlemen, I was 100% correct. The starting lineup is out tonight, and the starting lineup will go like this. D'Angelo Russell will be your starting point guard. Klay Thompson will be your starting shooting guard. Cooper Flagg will start as small forward. Anthony Davis will be your power forward. And at center, Derek Lively II. That is your starting 5. D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively II will open up your Dallas Mavericks 25-26 season. Against
the first sub, unless it's foul trouble, is PJ Washington.
PJ Washington.
And he will come in for whom? Let's see how smart. How many predictions can you get right?
I'll say he'll come in for Anthony Davis first.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're going to let Cooper get his legs under him a little bit. AD is still working his way back into conditioning. I think PJ will be the first sub.
PJ for Coop?
No, PJ for AD.
PJ for AD, sorry.
Yeah, PJ
okay,
for
and
AD.
then who? Najee?
Or
Or is Max Christie coming in?
I think Najee would probably be the next one off the bench. So I'll go PJ, then Najee. And, yeah, Max will get some run. But maybe Ryan Nembhard comes in for
first quarter Ryan Nembhard minutes, baby.
Ryan Nembhard
we are winning.
D'Angelo. But, yeah, PJ clearly is – and that's one of the more intriguing storylines for me throughout the course of the season.
This is my life.
The PJ Washington agenda is alive and well. 6th Man of the Year candidacy already off the ground for me for PJ Washington 25. We'll see what happens this year. But, yeah, that's your starting lineup. D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively II. So looking forward to seeing what that happens on the floor tonight. Oh, interesting.
Luke guesses Hardy the first sub. Interesting.
Oh, that's
okay.
That's ambitious.
All right.
That's ambitious. By the way, Oklahoma City coming off of they're playing on the second night of a back-to-back. Last night they were playing in Charleston, South Carolina, and they flew into Fort Worth to play tonight's game against the Dallas Mavericks. So probably not going to see a lot of the Oklahoma City, normal starters and players. Because for some reason the NBA decided, or I guess the Oklahoma City Thunder, since the teams create their own preseason schedules, they decided to schedule a back-to-back. So the Mavericks, of course, are playing the first of 4 preseason games tonight. They will play tonight, and then they'll be off all the way until Saturday when they play the Utah Jazz, and then, they'll play the Charlotte Hornets. Then they'll play the Utah Jazz on Monday.
Man doesn't even have the preseason schedule memorized yet.
No.
Wow.
I'm just saying. It's Oklahoma City tonight, Charlotte on Saturday, Utah on Monday. Where's the bell? Utah on Monday, and then on Wednesday, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Wait, what was the bell for in this case?
Utah.
I think we moved on.
We moved on for that? All right, we're good.
Yeah, we moved on.
Utah loss was last year.
All right, cool. We're on
2024 to 20.
Good point. Great point.
I think were all the players involved in that no longer on the Mavs?
Except for Dwight Powell.
Because it was Luka. What was the issue? I don't even remember. Jordan Clarkson passed to John Collins. It was Luka and Maxey. Wasn't it?
Luka fell asleep.
Or Luka, was it Luka and
It was
Gaffer? I
So
don't remember.
Luka fell asleep, and all of a sudden, John Collins gets
That
the
was a
game winner.
disaster.
depressing
It's
night.
the if healthy bell now.
But guess what?
If Belthy.
We're on to bigger and better things this year. Mavericks basketball.
Channel 20,
tip-off,
it's on KFAA. I've seen a couple people ask how to
Yes.
watch it. KFAA.
7:30 tip-off on KFAA Channel 29 and on NBA TV. We'll be back here for our post-game show with our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. He's so excited for post-game shows. So excited. And we'll be back there 15 minutes after the game is over with. Appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carella. I am your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you post-game after the Mavericks take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.